and set the border side to border side with a color of teal accent and a width of 2.0. I'm gonna set the border radius to border radius dot all with a radius dot circular and a value of 15.0. Tap into the hint style property and write Google Fonts dot poppins and give it a font size of 13.0. And finally, in the hint text property, pass the hint text. And we are done with the text form. Let's head over to the view model file now, and in the row widget, we're gonna call the TextForm widget, which we just created. We are going to start with the name of the expense. So, in the text, we need to write name, set the container width to 130 and set the hint text as name. The first controller variable is called controller name, and in the validator we want to create a function which will accept a text in its parameter. And now let's check if the text is empty. If it's empty, then return required. Give it a sized box with a width of 10.0 and let's call another TextForm widget, which this time will take the amount of the expense. So in the text property, we have to write amount. Container width can be set to 100.0. In the hint text, we need to type amount. Let's set controller as controller amount, that is the variable which we created earlier. And in the validator, create a function which accepts text. Within the brackets, check if the text converted to a string is empty or not. If it's empty, then return required. Finally, in the actions property of the alert dialog, let's call a material button, as people need to save the values they put in the fields. In the child property, let's call the open sans, and in the text property, write save. We're also gonna set its size to 15.0 and the color of the text will be white. Let's not forget about adding the splash. So let us set it to colors.gray and the color of the button to colors.black. As the other buttons are also black, I'm gonna set the shape property as rounded rectangle border with a border radius dot circular and a value of 10.0. Now in the onPressed property, let's create a function. We need to validate the form key to check if the field is empty or not. So let's write if form key dot current state validate. It will give a true value if the input in the field is correct, and if the value is true, then we need to send the data to Firestore.